You're Obeya powered by visual thinking, which is to say that you are doing Obeya work before me and after me. I want to add something that I think can amplify and be very interesting for you. This is my contact information. Of course, I'm completely contactable through the Obeya Association, but if you want it, it's on this screen. These are the organizations within our organization and the clients that we've worked with, these industries. And, it's been decades upon decades. So we were there at the beginning with textiles and aerospace, a lot of work in aerospace, electronics. Electronics is the perfect environment for visuality because it is so discrete. And healthcare, another vibrant field, military depots, of course, much to be said about this, food, bioscience, and medical, and all of these, many, many companies. I'm deeply associated with the Shingo Institute. I've been an examiner. I'm on their Lifetime Academy, and I am a faculty fellow. I support their work. It's not everything, but what it is excellent. It's a model of thinking. And the Obeya Association, my new friends, I fell in love with you immediately. I have many books. I have 7 books on visuality. 2 of them are Shingo Prize winners and very available. So the center book is the model, and the yellow book is on implementing with operators. The other book is on complexity in the design world. I am very aware that you do Agile work, many of you, and I want to comment on that, the fit between Agile and Obeya. And I hope your questions will support further revelations so that we can at least begin a conversation. The hallmark, the big slogan, the banner for this presentation is the liberation of information is the liberation of the human will. We want to make the connection that we live in a world that is flooded with information, so much information that we pick and choose. And what do you want your clients, what information do you want them to see and to connect with and to utilize? What is going on your Obeya walls? What are the decisions that you're making about what gets put up there? Another framing concept. The problems that your company face today may seem like big problems. And that's one way to encapsulate them, to frame them. We've got big problems. But I want to invite you to consider, are they your big opportunities? I would like you, at least for the purposes of our discussion, to separate problems which seem to occur and reoccur and never end to opportunities which actually can be developed into new outcomes, not just solutions, but truly outcomes happening on a higher scale, on a more comprehensive scale. We're talking about developing a system of thinking, and I'm talking about systems in terms of J.W. Forrester. I'm talking about the dynamic of dynamic systems, that your Obeya room is a subsystem. Have you decided that it has a built-in feedback loop? Do you run it so that in itself it has its own integrity? And is it connected to the feeder systems? Are you thinking like that? If you're not, your Obeya becomes a project management tool. It becomes a snapshot, not a movie. So I want to introduce you to my buddy, and I hope yours. Here's the Obeya board, one of them, of the many that Dolphin Bart sent me. And here's your Obeya buddy. He is there, she is there to help you. I wonder what you would say to your Obeya board, your Obeya buddy, if it could actually listen and respond, and I'd like you to take the attitude that it does. What would you ask for from your Obeya buddy? What would you ask of it? What would you say? Consider, suppose, imagine, invent a need, an action, an outcome, an impact, an insight, a change that you want in that Obeya room, and you want your board, your buddy to help you. What would it be? Would you ask it to do more, or do something differently, or stop doing it, or what? What would it be? Your Obeya board buddy wants to know and wants to help. This is an absolute premise of my work. I have been doing this for longer than I've been alive. No, it's longer than some of you have been alive. A long time. And I find the felicitous relationship between me, the human, the animate object, and the wall, the board, the visual workplace is one of conversation, of dialogue, of building an understanding. One of the things that I get this a lot. Oh, Gwendolyn, you're so good at this. I'll never be as good as you. You've got all the stories, blah, blah, blah. How could I ever train this? Well, the magic is because visuality, visual thinking is built into us humans, and I will unfold that in a moment. It is a natural ability. If you become aware of it, your intelligence will be fired with inputs that have already been there, but you'll be aware of them. And you will be able to ask things of inanimate objects and create a partnership. I swear on the head of my cat's name is Merlin, this is so. Otherwise, how could I keep going for decades and decades and still feel as though I found the ice cream cone in the middle of July, and man, it's making me awfully happy. It is a sensory experience. It is a relationship. It is a contact. It is listening. It's alignment. It's flow. And you can take any of those 4 words and ask, do those states exist in your Obeya session? Contact, alignment, flow, deliciousness. I like to say that your session should be the best thing that happens to anybody on any day. People wouldn't miss it for the world. And they give to it because they love it. You know, Einstein said to us, I kind of gave the punchline away of something I'd just like to remark for you to think about. And for you to know that for me, it's real, because I have validated it so many times that I give it as a declaration. Einstein was asked, what's your definition of discipline? Because he was a great scientist, and they thought they were going to get some secret of the universe, and they did. And his answer was this. It's an answer that you would think would come from Oprah Winfrey, but he said, discipline is remembering what you love. This is Einstein, Mr. Mathematician, Mr. Genius with numbers, the man who was voted the man of the century as we moved into this new millennium, the past century. Discipline is remembering what you love. So I have spoken about love just now with 4 other descriptions: contact, alignment, flow, connectivity, contribution, I could say. These are universal values, and I'm saying to you, they're in your Obeya room. You find them. They're there already. They're there already. This is a quote from that I just found this morning. Everything that we can know is already present in the field. The field meaning the space itself. Okay, so you have to tune in differently. And this is so exciting for those of you who feel that your blood is rushing a little bit faster in your veins right now. This is for you. Obeya has potent DNA. It is related to a family called visuality, and it is a family of champions. And this family is conceived of and lives only to serve and to have a lot of fun, but to have the kind of fun that happens from joining but also being diverse. So it's a wonderful balance point, this kind of paradox. Unity comes from diversity, and we aren't uniform. we aren't unified unless we are also diverse. It doesn't mean that we've been standardized or homogenized. It means that we have found the way to balance the both and enjoy them both. So I want to move to the second part. What is the link between visuality and brain function? And this is what I had promised a moment ago, for you to know that it's yours already. It's your inheritance. I call it our inborn engine. 50% of the human brain's involuntary function, 50%, you know, we use 10% of our brain for cognitive thinking, for stuff that we actually think we think. But in the background, there's another 90% going on to just keep the mechanism alive and to feed, to pull out of the field more than you can touch with your voluntary brain. It's called the involuntary brain function. Okay, you're getting the proportions. 50% of that, which is identified as a separate contributing component, is dedicated to finding and interpreting visual data. This is involuntary, automatic, and continuous. It is going on now, firing at something like, although I check it every morning because I can't, a billion times a second. It's completely continuous. Right now, wherever you are, if you are sight deficient, then the other senses have kicked in and they're taking over the work. And you get interesting people like Helen Keller from my country, and I'm sure your country has them as well. So we are these equipped beings to walk through our world and understand that that world has information. And our main portal is, our main mechanism is sight. Bring that understanding to your Obeya room. I'll give you ways to, very important ways, I feel. They're beginning ways, but I use them to this day to begin to unearth that. This is exciting. The brain transforms that data into information. Now watch the sequence. And that information into meaning. It's called thinking and feeling, that information into meaning. Behavior and belief derive from that meaning. Again, go into the Obeya room. What does it mean? More about that in a little while. But I think you're with me. What I want you to get is that we are visual beings. We're born that way. Therefore, we live in a visual world, and it's not the other way around. It's not that the world taught us to be visual because it wanted to be organized and support the economy. We required it to be visual, otherwise we couldn't use it. And it came up in spades when the automobile was invented and people were getting killed by an automobile that was going 7 miles an hour, speeding down a dirt road. More was needed, and the road began to speak. This inanimate road became our partner in safety, became our partner in getting us where we needed to go, connecting us. Was it important? It was transformational. Okay. The eye, the most studied of our organs, gorgeous, powerful in its function. There it is, billions of calculations per second. You can't stop it. And this is such an interesting comment. Most studied, most researched, best understood, and yet we are still on the ground floor. People know that we don't know. There's a lot that the robots are uncovering about our inability to understand how we function. So how can we get them to do it? So we're finding our way, and it's an important study. In a profound and still inscrutable way, sight combines with memory to energize the will. Seeing is thinking, eyes are the brain, but I want to add to that touch, which is the opportunity in Obeya. There should never be an Obeya session where every single person in that room hasn't touched the board, at least for some moments, because that's the connection. That's like the handshake. That is a flow trigger. You don't have to follow that rule, but that's what I think. Touch is our earliest sense. There's a wonderful research done between fetuses, watching them through that scope that allows you to watch fetuses, and they see within 20 weeks that twin fetuses will looks like reach for each other, looks like reach for each other. And the romantics among us say, you see, we are compelled to connect. This is what I want you to at least explore: touch knowledge. Yes, you can have LCDs. Yes, you can have visual displays. Yes, this is very important. Visual electronic displays. This is very important for remote locations. I was just talking to a client the other day, and they said they want to do an experiment with that. And that should be very interesting. It is a useful adaptation of what we do when we're together. How do we do that? How do we replicate that when we're not together? So yes, it has a role, but it is an adapted role. Distance is forcing us to find other mechanisms. Do not depend on it. Use it and use it well, but do not think it gives a complete understanding. Because the field, which is that which in which each of us reside, and then the field in which we reside together, it's called the planet. The field has information that cannot be identified sufficiently and discreetly to put it into an electronic form or really any other form. I'm going to be giving you 3 try-ons at the end of this. And one of them is get to know visuality. Go into chaos theory, so important for you to understand what happens in transformational change. How does chaos turn into fractals, for heaven's sakes? And what is the peculiarity and the extreme use of the still point? How does that work? The still point is created by what's called a strange attractor. This language is just so exciting. We just moved 20,000 years into space. The strange attractor creates that still point around which the chaos organizes itself into fractals. These gorgeous, ever gorgeous, going in or out patterns. I'm introducing words now that are meant to excite you or at least to provoke you. And I want to say again, I am teaching my effectiveness to you. So you, as a consultant, are seeing a consultant of many, many years and a lot of failures and a lot of successes, and I know the difference. And I'm showing you a way that I want you to consider conceptualizing your work. Touching is conceptualizing and delivering your work. You got to find that limb. You got to be looking for a limb, and then you have to walk out on it because it's the best way to learn. You go out on that limb and you do your dance. I'm talking to consultants now. I know there may be folks who think of themselves as not consultants, but if you are an Obeya teacher or even a member, you're already in the field of consultancy. You're already in that connecting field. And it's one of great exhilaration and importance for the world, for yourself, for growth, to grow. So we say sight, touch, why not also at work? I want to give you a little experience. You should be able to get this on the screen. It will look familiar to you, some of you, but I'd like to put it in a new framework. Here's the organizing thought. The mind is a pattern-seeking mechanism. Totally important for Obeya. I think almost beyond any form I can think of, Obeya requires that awareness. The mind is a pattern-seeking mechanism, and we see it here. This is in English. We see it here. When this originally came out, this experiment, it came out under the name of Cambridge University, and then Cambridge said, we never did that here. Nonetheless, it's still working. If you have any fluency in English, and most of you in your country do, you will be able to read this despite the fact that every word with more than 3 letters is spelled grossly incorrectly. If we were in a live classroom, I would ask you to talk amongst yourselves and figure out why. It's because the pattern is determined by the first and the last letter, and we fill in the rest. I want to emphasize that by taking away the pattern. It's a very easy way to do that. With the words, all you have to do to take away the pattern is to capitalize everything. If I had given that to you first, it would have remained a mystery much, much longer. You would have had to vocalize and rearrange and kind of conquer it as a puzzle. Whereas what happens here, this is called recognition. This is the difference between digital and analog. This is digital. And even though it's electronic, those capital letters defeat us. In a jet fighter, this is the redundancy. This is the origin. It is always analog. There's always an analog clock. As a redundancy, the digital is there so that we have 2 points of comparison. Because that's based on brain function. It's just this simple thing. And I looked it up. I looked up these letters, these first letters, just this little, you can just misspell this correctly, and you will find it in many languages. And here it is in Dutch. So you're able to read it. It looks, gibberish to me. But the pattern is there. So I hope you had a little bit of experience of that in just looking at the screen, because that is the part of the mysterious firings that go on between our eye and our brain. And by the way, the eye and the brain are 2 completely separate organs. I used to always think that the eyes were kind of a protrusion of the brain. But no, it's not true. So that section was about appreciating that you've already got this capability in a physical organ, and it's there to help you. Now let's move on and talk about the visual workplace. What is workplace visuality, the visual workplace? What does it mean to let the workplace speak? I sign most of my letters with, thank you very much, kindest regards, let the workplace speak, Gwendolyn. Okay, what does it mean for a workplace to speak? So I want to show you, and please, I want to show you in a way that everyone will be able to easily understand right now. So I'm going to show you manufacturing. It is not that this doesn't work in non-manufacturing environments, for example, in Agile. It means that we can see it clearly in order to get that basic understanding in manufacturing. We get it. Please don't dismiss it. It would be so silly to dismiss it. Landscape of work. This is Raquel's area, master machinist. This is his before. And here's the information. And this is what you must ask of your Obeya. Can we see the information? That doesn't mean just the data. That means the meaning. And that meaning isn't just red, yellow, green. That gives us a valence, but it doesn't tell us what it means. It only means on some standard of performance, we are either red, yellow, or green. This is, can we see the information? Can we use the information? Does it change us? Observing my board, I understand what's next. So I'm going to give you the 2 questions here because they also relate to the rest of the picture I'm going to show you in the next one. There's a power mantra in visual thinking, and the power mantra is a set of 2 questions. The first is, what am I seeing? What does it mean? So when we look at this, the eyes of a visual thinker, what am I seeing? What does it mean? Our go-to isn't, oh, it looks dirty, it looks old, or it looks empty. It is, do I know how to use it? Is it speaking to me? What am I seeing? What does it mean? The second set of questions, which I find to be just fabulous. What am I not seeing? What does it mean? What am I not seeing? What does it mean? And the visual thinker will look at this and say, I know there's information in there that if I had it, I would be able to more successfully use whatever that is. For example, this machine, this grinding machine. But the machine is dumb. The machine is mute. The machine is not partnering with me. How do I get it to partner with me? Otherwise, I'm going to have to remember. And I know me as a human being, I'm not going to remember everything, or I'm going to get something wrong. I'm going to get in trouble. It'll be unsafe. I won't be able to do my work. What are the equivalents for you? I'm going to go to Agile now because seems to be a disembodied form, seems to be abstract, conceptual. You're working in air. I hope you're getting the point. What am I seeing? What does it mean? What am I not seeing? What does it mean? This is the difference between problems and opportunities. I am seeing a huge opportunity here for transformation because you know the implications and the outcomes attached to visuality. Let's see the after. So I want you to notice that he's changed from master machinist to master visual thinker, and he was. And if we had time, well, you can read it in the yellow book. But his journey was amazing. And this is what he did. He translated the information into a workplace that speaks. This is a union shop, and Rick worked the first shift, and everybody knew first shift person owned the environment. And so people would sign up for second and third shift to work in his cell. He said, everybody wants to work in my cell. He was telling me one day. I said, well, why is that? He said, because, well, they don't have to think. They call my cell the no thinking cell. I said, isn't that funny? They're calling it no thinking and you're a great visual thinker. What do they do if they don't think? Like I was feeding him a line, and he said, they dance, Gwendolyn. They dance. They do the dance of work. In other words, they flow without interruption because the information is there when and as they need it. The feedback loop is completed. And you have an operator who is excelling. You have an Agile consultant who is excelling because she's using the full capability of the field, the full capability of that workplace. In Agile, this does not exist, but that doesn't mean it cannot exist. And it doesn't mean that it should not exist. You have to crack the code on. I cracked the code on manufacturing. I give it to you as a gift. Continue the contribution. This is made for you, and I know that you are a scholar of Obeya. Go further. And others. I know you by name. I'm so excited about your contribution because you will make it happen in your field. You'll see. Be of good cheer. Okay, that's what we're seeing, meaning by seeing the information. Visuality, the language of visual solutions, is a language. The vocabulary is the solutions. That's what makes a workplace that speaks. These are all segmented based on something I'm going to give you next. These are all devices from different organizational levels. They are not on the same level, but that doesn't mean they are not universally useful. They are. They speak the language of that county, of that country, and they make the flow happen. Plus, it's super duper safe. If there's any danger around, you've already found it and protected you and others. Okay? This is visuality. This is the language. A workplace that speaks. That segmentation that we just saw, this one, I call the 10 doorways. And you can find that, I'm going to walk you through it now in the white book. This is the seminal book of the model with the neutron on the cover. I'm just going to give you a taste of the segmentation. Each of these doorways is to a different organizational level, for the most part, or a different venue. And I'll explain that very, very quickly, but I just want you to get it. And it is tied, each of them is tied to a separate visual methodology. The first one for operators, value-add associates in hospitals, depots, in offices, doesn't matter, is work that makes sense. Value-add associates, the methodology is a much more robust form of 5S. I rejected 5S in about 1993, and ever since have been using this model, and it's extraordinary for ownership and also specificity for beautiful, exact visual devices. When you open doorway 1, you always open doorway 9 because you are opening the OPEX function. You are opening the building of your infrastructure, your improvement infrastructure, which must be there to support what's happening in any of these doorways. But if you open with 1, if you open with 3, you open the infrastructure. If you open with 4, you open. If you open with any of them, you open with the infrastructure, okay? So you have the support and you have satisfied the answer of leadership. Why am I investing in this? Why am I losing production time for this? That answer is part of doorway number 9. So you take care of it right away. All of it is a laboratory and all of it is proof of itself. Proof of concept is the doing of it. You'll get results within 6 to 8 weeks that are very impressive, very impressive. And you have to learn something new and you have to do it. Your Obeyas will change. You will not have to defend them or ask. It'll take a little while to learn this and to get, kind of gain the momentum. But the executives will be asking you to do more. They'll come to you and say, hey, Charlie, I need 3 more like this. Here's the budget. Spend all of it. If you need more, just see me. No resistance, because the contribution will be tangible and important. Okay, so we'll just move through this. Visual scheduling, visual leadership, the pull systems that Lean is doing very, very well. Poke-yoke devices, visual guarantees for engineers. They are the teachers and quality techs, taught also by operators. These are the 6 core plus the 9, okay? And then we take the whole thing, we move it to the machine in manufacturing, okay? And we move it to the office. And now we move it to the multi-sites. That's what doorway 10 is about, weaving it together enterprise-wide. We hope to be working with a company soon that has 50 sites. It'll take a while, but it has 50 sites. And they will speak not a standard visual language, but they will speak a visual language. And the dialect will be local. Okay. Trying to balance that diversity, unity, structure and free will. Trying to balance those two because we must, because they're 2 powerful forces. So categories of visual function, that's what each doorway represents. That's methodologies. And I want to give you a taste of these because I want you to know where Obeya fits in. It looks like everything. It's not, but it's important. Operator-led visuality. This is doorway number 1. This is what it looks like. Visual displays is doorway number 3. It is not the same as Obeya, but it's a really important 2-dimensional contribution. Absolutely indispensable for supervisors and managers. Visual scheduling, a higher level of doorway 3. We are still not Obeya, but we have the schedule alive and well. And I'm going to introduce a word that's very important that I have not seen on, I saw it on 1 board only, and that board holds causality. It will not come into its fullness until level 3. It just can't, but it will be causality as a requirement, if I may say so, as a requisite. Here is visual problem solving. That's all about causality. The visual machine, visual leadership. So these aren't all the doorways, but they are they are 7 of the 10. Visual guarantees. There's visual guarantees, poke-yoke devices. The before is on the right, the after is on the left. We are restricting the hand so it can't get into the cubby and pick out the wrong insert. This is at Rolls-Royce Obeya. Solve the problem of turning a 50,000 euro collar, aerospace collar, into scrap by choosing the wrong insert. An insert is a blade, the wrong blade, the wrong cutting tool. Okay, and here we have visual management. You with me? Okay, I hope this is very interesting. I wanted to make it simple enough for you to see the line of logic, but I do have to give you enough grittiness so you understand the variety of the language of visuality. And Obeya is definitely a part of it. It's a part of it. It's a part of visual management. These are just some results. Tangible results are there. And the Cultural Revolution, of course, is there. People contribute powerfully, specifically, and you don't have to motivate them. And they can be grumpy people too. They can't be disrespectful, but they can definitely be grumpy. They can be, leave me alone, and we respect that. So we take that diversity and we love it. My father was exactly the grumpiest person, the grumpiest father in the entire world. He was originally from Switzerland, but I didn't give him license to be that grumpy, that rules oriented. But I loved him. Can explain it. Don't ask me to explain it, because then I'll have to wonder if I really loved him or if he was really grumpy. You know, it's great to be a human. I don't have to answer all the questions, just the ones I want to. So on visuality, now I'm going down a layer and I'm going into, I want you to know, I am talking about your Obeya, but I'm also talking about every other application, including for the CEO, that the enemy is invisible. The enemy is information deficits. The enemy is missing information, and we can only detect its footprint because it is missing, because it is a deficit. We're in visuality to wipe out those information deficits so we can flow, we can build, we can expand, we can drive forward, we can drive backwards. We have ultimate resilience and flexibility. We can only detect the footprint of the enemy that is invisible. There is a powerful enemy in the workplace. You can't see it because it is invisible. You can only track its footprint, and then you can demolish it. That's what Rick L. did. This is one of the core purposes, not the only purpose, but certainly in terms of profit margin and justification of the resource of the investment, this is one that gets the attention of your senior managers. It is therefore a core purpose of your Obeya. What is the information that's missing? What am I not seeing? What does it mean? You must do this between your sessions, and you use your sessions as a diagnostic to say, to what extent is that board making a contribution during these 19 minutes? I hope they're short meetings. During these 19 minutes to advance us, to what extent was that successful? Let me give it a grade. Me, the licensee, me, the helpful consultants. How did we do? You need to set yourself up to be able to ask and answer that question every session. You know what should happen because you've designed it in at the beginning of the session, and you know if it's happened, and you know what to do with the gap. Okay, that's smart consultant. The job of the consultant is always to know what's next. Do you know what's next? Or does the Obeya session just be another 20-minute break and I'm going to go for coffee now? The most alive part of the session happens when the session is over and you go, holy cow, it didn't happen. I'm in so much trouble. What's the next didn't happen? Your job is to know and design in what's next. Fundamental, visuality is a system of thinking first. That's why visuality can be such an aid to you in your Obeya. It is a system of thinking first and a system of doing next, a system of solutions. Your whole brain, you got to bring it in. Your beautiful brain. We only just met each other, but wow, your brain is really beautiful. Your thinking, your mind. It's a font of contribution, specificity, service, and growth. Growth for your Obeya, growth for you. You know, it's one of the questions that you ask at the end of the session. One of the questions that I asked, to what extent did I learn something? What was my discovery? I come in curious, but I want discovery by the end. I'm always curious. So what happens when you become a visual thinker? You are reading tea leaves that aren't there. You're putting the pieces together and you want to test out. Am I right? So gorgeous. It makes your day, your life, your own petri dish. This was Charles Dickens. Not a part of this presentation, but I'm going to quote him anyway. Charles Dickens in David Copperfield, in the first paragraph of the book, he's talking about his childhood, walking along the beach. And he said, and I asked, will I be the hero of my own life? This is, for me, the translation. What does that mean for me now, here in the 21st century? What does a hero mean? And I'm not talking something woo-woo. I mean this sense of exhilaration and discovery that I want to be some part of almost every day I'm alive. I want that engagement. I want to feel that relationship between myself and the world. Will I be the hero of my own life? And I often say to CEOs, you can adopt as a template for leadership executive conduct to help people become heroes. What does that mean? What does it mean to them? What does it mean to you? How do you measure it? And it is measurable. So just that was an aside, but it's a system of thinking first. And this is Ono's. When I came upon this, I thought I really had died and gone to heaven, because he said, people don't come to Toyota to work, they come to think. That's what hero means at Toyota. We're here to think, and you can feel it. You walk into at least the older Toyota plants. I've got commentary that I will spare you about the newer plants, but the ones when I was making my journeys to them, they were alive with awareness, alive with humanity, not the humanity that is soft and over a cup of tea, but the humanity that demands excellence as an outcome, as an appetite. Oh boy. So a visual workplace is populated not by hundreds of visual devices, but by thousands. A fully functional visual enterprise is populated by thousands of visual devices and mini systems, and they are invented by a workforce that knows how to think visually. That's what I look for in your Obeya. That is what I'm aiming to make a contribution to for those people who want to learn it, in amplifying the effectiveness of the very, very good Obeyas you're currently doing. But It is what's next. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Are you growing people? Are you growing yourself? Are you growing the Obeya? Is it the most exciting thing that's happened to you today? Do you look forward to it with that in mind? Do you see? Here's a definition of visual thinking. Visual thinking is the ability of a person to recognize motion, your ability, my ability, to recognize motion and the information deficit that triggers that motion. Can I track that footprint back to the source? This is the missing information. This is why the mistake was made. This is why the delay happened. There may be multivariate reasons, causes, but I'm beginning to understand. And then to eliminate both through solutions that are visual. Burned on my eyelids. This is visual thinking. It requires this connection between my inside and the outside. And it requires me to have a great time. It requires me to, because it's me exercising the gifts that I've been given, which are your gifts as well. I'd like you to be excited about helping people, but not helping them by giving them crutches to cross the street, helping them by helping them grow. When they will tell you, but you already know a lot about what growth would mean. It has to be growth that allows me to be more powerful, not to dominate you, but to conquer our common enemies, for me to express myself. I'm not going to go off. We've got about 2 more slides of this. Definition of motion, just so you know, moving without working. Here are the various forms of motion. They look very much like our little list for 5S. And they're microscopic. They're micro incursions. And here are the big bad 4. This is our gang of 4. Asking, answering questions, being interrupted to answer it, interrupting others to ask it, and then just waiting for information. This is searching for information. This is looking for, rummaging for information, wandering around, asking questions. Okay, really important. Motion is anything you have to do, or else you cannot do your work. You have to ask but it is not your work. When you go into the Obeya room, what is the work that you, as the Obeya consultant, coach, facilitator, knows has to happen next? Did it happen? What got in the way? And we're not talking about lockstep, speak when you're spoken to and say only this. We're talking about flow. It has to happen. But it is a flow that is a designed flow. And the board will definitely help you. Okay? So plainly put, there's one simple reason why a visual workplace is needed. This might be too much, but this is a tool I'm giving you, and it will help you dig into your Obeya board. The reason is people have too many questions, but only some of them are asked. Most of them are not asked. They're not asked. And when people don't ask questions, they either make stuff up or do nothing. They do nothing. I'm waiting for the information. I don't know. Or they do something and they really mess up. Sometimes they get lucky. But when we look at all the questions, there are only 3 questions. One of them we're not going to deal with today, which is the why. That is an executive leadership question. It must be answered. But right now, we're going to look at the 2 operational questions that you can put into motion right away and start using right away. Maybe you'll even turn off your computer and run out and say, I'm going to go do it now, because they're very, very available. The 2 driving questions, 2 of the 3. Driving question 1, what do I need to know? What do I need to know that I don't know right now in order to do my work? What do I need to know? I find the answer to the question, I get the answer to the question, I turn that question into, bingo, a visual device, and I pull that information to me when and as I need it. Bingo. Bingo, bingo. And I do this iteratively. Please notice this does not say, what do we need to know? This is not a consensus process. It is not a voting process. Part of the strength of your Obeya group, and I'm also complete corollary with a visual transformation. The strength of the visual transformation is that it is I-driven. The individual gets to ask and answer that question and work in the laboratory of their own workplace, which may be Agile, might be a desk, it might be a computer, it might be an array, or it might be a machining cell, or it might be an office in the C-suite. But you want that disconnection because you want the ownership, you want the curiosity, you want the discovery, and you can move to a conglomerate with 2 or 3 people or a room of 30 or 300, but you begin here. And there's lots of ways to work this without giving up this value. Okay, I'm not going to show you an example of it because it will take us off our track and off our time, but I want you to understand that we pull the answers to us, and when they are in visual form, they're so easy for us to utilize to create this pull relationship. Okay, what do I need to know? And here are the outputs, all of these devices. This is the language. The second question is, what do I need to share? Can you hear the we in that? What do I know that other people need to know that I need to share so that they can do their work more completely, more safely, more on time, with more flow and coherency? The arrows point out. It is still I noticing other people's motion and lending a helping hand. They may come to me every day and say, are you almost ready? Are you almost ready? Are you almost ready? Get rid of the question. Okay, Johnny, when I'm ready, this is going to go up. It says ready. And when I'm not ready, this is going to go up. It's in red. It says not ready. And Johnny says, oh, that's so funny. Oh, I'm going to use that one. I need to share that to keep the interruptions. It's not for, it does help me, but it keeps him at bay. He gets the information, not ready yet. Do it with a clothespin. Lots and lots of examples, endless examples. One engineering firm in Australia increased their productivity, think Agile, 34% by their measure, and they were engineers, so they were very fussy, by addressing the interruptions as motion. All they did was attack the interruptions as motion. And they moved on from there. Okay, the arrows go out. You share information with somebody, you see them struggling in some form of motion, and you put it out there. What happens when you do that? What happens? An I-driven, yes, Gwendolyn, we see that. We knew that. This is the output. Some of these are need to share. Some of them are both. Some of them are need to know. We can actually dissect them as such. And visual thinkers know that. There's so many examples that are before you that we will not be able to investigate. But wow, what a ride. What fun. I want you to get this connectivity. Person begins with a need to know and gets control over their corner of the world, gives them control. And they relax because at least they've kept down the noise within their department. You want this, you make it visual on their desk. That's need to know. Supervisors, so the operator may want to see, so I can do my work safer, more completely, faster, blah, 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 perfect quality. Operators, supervisors and managers want to see they want the line of sight. They want to see the work, the quality, the safety. So they want to see the outcomes. It's a different bucket of information, but it is the same sense of control. And this is what happens when need to know happens in connecting. These can be desks, they can be plants, they can be departments. Now let's add the need to share. We go beyond our locus of control and we begin to, if you will, influence, help, connect with people who are not in our immediate field. But look what happens. I'll show you in a moment. Okay. Look what happens when we add the need to share. It's not there yet. It's not there yet, but here it just happened. It just happened here. We reach out and we connect with people we don't even know. Personally, daily, we connect because we are serving them and they are serving us. Can you see? I see this as high functioning Obeyas, where they pull in feeder information. There's this connectivity. You don't need to know lean to be able to connect if you're an Agile, but you do need to connect. You'll get the discrete information that is important for your work. You'll send the discrete information that is important for their work. If you want to have lunch and discuss machinery and inserts and they want to find out how your work works, then do that. Build the relationship. It's natural. But we want this discreteness and we want the focus of outcome. What is our purpose? A workplace that speaks is a workplace that flows. So how do you grow your Obeya process? The 3 Obeya levels, and then we're going to have 3 try-ons. So there's a foundational level. This is Obeya Association, and I'm naming what I see as your foundational level to learn the Obeya process to launch and apply. You've got an Obeya board. Great. You might have several of them. And they are your building your knowledge base about how Obeya works, but also raising the questions that you are raising now, which is what do I do with the digital conversation? How do I become more effective? What's missing? What's there? Where's the strength? What can I build on? You're beginning to notice that you can go further. It's perfect. And you're doing really good work now, but you want to keep gaining ground. You don't want to lose any of it. The next step, in my view, and I believe that the Obeya Association is in alignment with this because they have given me permission to work with you, to build knowledge and know-how in your Obeya boards and make your sessions more effective. This has to do with growing the Obeya. This has to do with growing your members, growing leadership, and growing yourself. So this has to do with a deepening. So this is, you're at this point, you've got your Obeya. This is you're strengthening your individual sessions. You're growing in your understanding. That's what this is. Okay, you're getting your what and your how to amplify and to strengthen. And you're entering your sessions with curiosity and discovery and with a design. The advance is connecting beyond the session room, growing the process into a dynamic system that self-reflects, self-learns, self-drives, and grows leaders, and you grow in the process. You have begun this here. You are gathering strength. You're finding the words. You're developing the vocabulary, and you reach beyond. And you are integrating Obeya into the organization. This is what that looks like. This is integration now. We're not doing need to know, need to share, but we're doing integration. So Obeya becomes, and it can, so that Obeya becomes a force of change that has to do with your capability, but has to do with the growing understanding of Obeya members and your leadership of what it can do. You are working with the pulse of the C-suite. You are in a powerful position. Think about going further, learning more, and becoming more capable. It's the CPK. It's not the capacity. It's the CPK, the capability that you need to build first in yourself and then in your board. The certification will mean you've got the essentials. You don't have to do them perfectly to be certified, but you do need to demonstrate that you are using new components, unless you already have them in place, new components, in which case you wouldn't go for certification because you were already brilliant and highly effective, and the boards were actually moving the organization, that you can do the checklist of, here are new skills we want you to learn. Let's see where you're at now. You've got 30 to 90 days. Sorry, yeah, 30 to 90 days to get that in order. So the Obeya, the 3 Obeya try-ons, and these have to do with things you can try out now. There's the little mushroom. It pushed itself through the asphalt. It has its little asphalt hat. It was reaching for the energy it needs and for the nourishment, as you know, of the sun. Nothing's going to stop it. This is the quality of every change agent, every person who is sitting with us today. It's the quality of me and Dolph Jacobine. We love the growth. No growth is not an option. It's not even a choice. It's not on the page. Try on one, very simple. Get to know your Obeya visually. Become a visual thinker. What am I seeing? What does it mean? What am I not seeing? What does it mean? I really want to show you this because it's the best illustration of the shift that I want you to make in what you are looking for in your Obeya. So here's Monet. He was one of the fathers of Impressionism, 1890. Here's the Rouen Cathedral. You may have seen his work. Here's a picture of the Rouen Cathedral in France. Here's the way it was painted by a contemporary who died very young. He painted the cathedral. It's beautiful. But let's see what Monet did. This was his rendition of the same cathedral. The same cathedral. But not just this. These are all the same face of the Rouen Cathedral. And we look at this and we say, what, does the guy go crazy? Why does he need all the same, the pictures? And why are some of them weird? Because his focus was different. And I want to ask you, and someone can just open their mic, what is it that he was studying? Was he really studying the architecture of the Rouen Cathedral? Was he? What do you think he was studying?
I hope anyone will provide an answer. Otherwise, I'll do a shot. Pierre.
It's quite easy. It is his own mind that he.
Oh, beautiful. He's studying his own mind. My answer to that, yours is better. Oh, that's gorgeous.
Not only his mind, but also the mind of his future seers.
And of the viewer, yes. For me, he was studying light. He's studying this. What is light? It's, it's there and then it's not there. For me, this is a study of light. But I love what you said, I like that even better, that his mind, and that's what you need to bring to your study of Obeya. You need to study something other than the physical board. You have to study, you have to find a name. What does it mean? You have to reconceptualize your role to be a role of higher understanding if you're going to lead. I don't care what it is. For me, Monet is an inspiration because he broke the mold of representative painting, of painting what you see. He painted his vision. Maybe that's a combination of light and mind, sir. Maybe it was Andre who spoke. Recast your definition of yourself. You are the maker of Obeya in your organization, or if you're a consultant, you've got a really important, gorgeous, delicious, exhilarating role. You have to rename yourself so that you're much wider. This happened to me because I studied visuality, and it kept pushing me into parts that I couldn't understand. But you can also read the pattern. There's a pattern there. There are some suppositions we can derive from that. You have to be on that level, and you have to create a board that allows you to see the questions that are your questions. What am I seeing? What does it mean? What am I not seeing? What does it mean? Just start there. The Obeya room is there to help you. You and your Obeya buddy. What you see that Ono did was revolutionary to the culture that everyone covets today. Let me go on. Here's some other subboards that I'd love to walk you through some other day, because they hold secrets that most of the Obeyas that I've seen so far don't hold. But it's only a question of the cognitive leadership of you. Try on number 2. Are you getting this? Learn about the power of the I, use it, apply it, enjoy it, grow people. I driven. It's all in you. The books are about this. You can see I have 350 podcasts. I have 150 articles. They're on our website. They are free. If you want more, make an appointment and tell me what the more is, and I'll be so excited. What we're looking for the I, for the growth of the I, is authenticity. We let people be themselves. The Dutch don't have any trouble with this. The Europeans don't. We do in the United States. Curiosity, discovery, ownership, contribution, alignment, all of these higher values. Your Obeya and your Obeya buddy can help you. Far too many of us have jobs that are not big enough for our spirit. The Dutch know this. This may not be your burning question, but I assure you it is for 60 to 80% of the people you work with, though they don't use these words. So you want to use this resource. It's called, you could say it is the will, but this is a will that is very beneficent and very interested in growing. Okay, so use it differently. The liberation of information is the liberation of the human will. It's what you experienced when you first got involved with Obeya. It was exciting. It was an answer. Don't get caught in the electronic versus non-electronic. You haven't explored the touch reality yet, and you will want to. You will love it. So get control of that discussion. And Andre, you can be the person who has the rationale and who has put that discussion in its place. Because unless you have replies that are compelling, it'll run right over you and everyone will regret it. But it'll take a while for the for the shadow to fall. You don't want it. You don't want that. Don't give it up. It's been too much of a battle to win it. It is a false. Just a moment. It's a false binary.
I will fight for it.
Huh? What did you say?
I said I will fight for it.
You fight for it. Yeah. Let's hone that argument. It's a false binary. It is the kind of, it was St. Augustine. He said, the truth is like a lion. It doesn't have to be defended. You just let it loose. It takes care of itself. So what happened is the truth wasn't strong enough. You didn't have the words yet to capture it. And now we have a little kitty cat coming out trying to stand up to the lion. So yeah, do it. Soft skills. There's a set of them. They're important. I want very much to share them with you. They will make you stronger. They will allow you to teach with no answers. For example, one of my favorite ones, teach with no answers. Think about that. How often do you do it? Do you do it as a strategy to build the strength of others? Name the worth of others. We talked about that again. Try on 3. Grow your board, grow your leaders. Give group members a turn to lead parts of the session, your session or their session, and work with those people to be a rock star. There's the introduction of principles. You must introduce principles into your Obeya sessions. So they become sessions that are in and of themselves transformational, where people are learning because you are sharing concepts that have wide applicability. You know, it's time to really use it for marketing new values. So this is also something I want very much to share with you. We have 84 principles. You take your pick and they become a part of your session. So what we're doing is making the session that seems to be about information, about meaningful information. We're making it meaningful, and people will never miss your meeting. And if you're not doing it yourself, you are showing your leader how to do it. And they will be so grateful, because you know what? They're going to be CEO in about 3 years. Because these are, how do you turn from managing a session to leading a session? You'll see something on leading and managing on my website. I think it's down towards the bottom of the video page, but it's a very good discussion. You need to have this language in you. You have to have these concepts. You're in a complete leadership position. Do something. Do something about it. Okay, assign a small segment, rotate the role, grow leaders. And I think I just have, if we won't have time for this, but to explore it, but you can, at a session as the external facilitator, you can say, okay, guys, I asked George for 5 minutes. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about the Obeya session. This is one way to use it, just one way. And I want you to finish this sentence, I want. We've got 10 minutes left. You're standing next to someone, and just tell them, finish that sentence, do it with a neighbor. That's called talking amongst yourselves. It's a really useful soft skill. Tell them what you want and let the person tell you. But you have to write down what you want before you start talking. That's what the Post-it is that I gave you a moment ago. Just write it down. I want. I don't care what it is. It has to be related to the Obeya session. And then they talk to each other just to give them the comfort of doing something new. It's so that you're not surprising people, so that when they talk, they can feel strong, and then have them read it out. And you say, we're not going to do anything. I just want to hear the voices. Okay. Hey, go ahead, George, you sing, you start. I want blah, blah, blah. Very good. Thank you, Marianne. What do you want? Read your sentence. Read your sentence. Read your sentence. Read your sentence. You've got your tape recorder on, or they give you the Post-it. Keep the Post-it. We'll build from there. And you get your immediate feedback about what's going well and what needs to go different in your session. Okay? Try them on. Turn what might be a struggle, a problem, or unsatisfactory into an opportunity. That's what we're about right now. This is Dolph and Gwendolyn and Jacobine and Bart. This is what we want to do. This is what your Obeya buddy wants you to do. I'm going to leave you with this. I've got 3 quotes. In school, you're given the lesson, then the test. In life, you're given the test and then the lesson. This is from Casino Royale. It's fantastic. And here's a beautiful one. There are some situations that will break your heart, but fix your vision. And this one I send to all of you. All of the best people are crazy. Look at us. Yeah?